not even sure if he was breathing. He glanced back at Lisa, who broke from her mother's grip and ran forward, hugging him around the waist. "Dad." "No, you didn't do it. They're lying," she sobbed. He wanted to cradle her, but a BFF roughly seized him as they pulled him away. Lisa whispered into his ear. "They threatened me. They said if you don't keep quiet, I'm next." That hammered him with dread beyond measure. "Who threatened you?" He tried to shout, but the guard yanked him onward. In the chaos, he glimpsed Lisa being ushered out, her face pale with terror. She was in danger, and no one would believe him if he tried to raise the alarm. He was a convicted murderer. After all, the transition to prison was a nightmare, stripped of dignity cage with violent offenders. Some recognized him as a detective jeering the guards. Two sneered a dirty cop now reaping what he swede. Steve spent nights in a narrow bunk staring at the ceiling, nightmares replaying Lisa's desperate expression. He wrote letters to Captain Mills, to the mayor, to the DA, warning them Lisa was threatened by the same conspirators who framed him. No response. The system that once listened to him as a respected detective now dismissed him as a criminal. His ex-wife believed the hype, refused his calls. He sank into despair. But one flicker of hope remained. Detective Aidan Brown, an old friend from their academy days, weeks after Steve's incarceration. Aidan visited face-conflicted Steve. He murmured, pressing his palm against the plexiglass dividing them in the visitor's room. "I'm so sorry, I can't believe you did it." "I never did." Steve felt tears threaten. "I swear, Aidan, I'm innocent. This is a setup. Lisa's in danger. She told me they threatened her. You must keep watch." Aidan nodded. "I've tried. Her mother's not cooperative. She thinks you're guilty. But I'll try to keep an eye on the house. Listen, there's talk that Councilman Sinclair was onto corruption in the department, maybe involving a figure named Victor Langdale. Sinclair had dirt on some high-ups, so someone orchestrated his murder. You were the convenient scapegoat." Steve exhaled relief that at least someone believed him. "Find the link, Aidan. Lisa is at risk, so whoever is behind this wants me silent." Aidan promised to quietly investigate, but with no official support, it was an uphill battle. Days bled into nights. Steve endured menial prison chores, occasional fights to defend himself, the gnawing sense that he was running out of time to save Lisa. Then during a yard scuffle that blossomed into a full-on riot, he seized the guards' dropped keys instead of returning them. He clutched them, adrenaline pounding with chaos, swirling alarms blaring. He sprinted for a staff door at the compound's perimeter. He'd never dreamed he would become a fugitive, but fatherly desperation. Trumped law shots rang behind him, a bullet whizzing past his ear, but he vaulted a chain-link fence and vanished into the brush, gasping each footstep a slash of pain. He cursed the injustice that forced him to break the law to protect his daughter. By the time the sun set, he navigated side roads, shed his prison jumpsuit, rummaged a pair of discarded pants from a dumpster, and stolen a few dollars from an unwatched tip jar to buy bus fare. He needed someone who could help him remain hidden, at least temporarily. Kate Bates. An investigative journalist came to mind. He had worked with her on a smaller corruption story years ago, and she had proven relentless in pursuit of truth. She would at least hear him out late that night. Steve arrived at Kate's door, an apartment in a rundown complex, paint peeling in the hallway. She opened it in pajamas, eyes going wide at the sight of him, unshaven, reeking of stale garbage, a frantic glint in his eyes. She let him in. Locking the door behind them, he explained everything, the frame-up, the threat to Lisa, the possibility of a deeper conspiracy involving Victor Langdale. Kate listened. Crossing her arms, she had heard rumors about Langdale's influence in city politics, but never had enough to publish a full expose. She believed him. She'd always thought Steve was a decent detective, not the type to snap and murder a councilman. She gave him clean clothes that belonged to a cousin, fed him a plate of pasta, and told him to rest on the couch. "We'll figure something out," she promised. "But you realize you're now the subject of a massive manhunt, right?" Steve nodded, anxiety churning. "I have to do this." Lisa's life might be at stake that haunted them both. A child used as leverage in a twisted scheme. The following day, Kate arranged a clandestine meeting at an abandoned bookstore with Aidan. They had to dodge the police watchers who might be trailing them. Aiden arrived sweaty and nervous, scanning the shadows when he spotted Steve. He tried to hug him, but ended up just grasping his arm. "You're all over the news, man. The department says you're armed and dangerous." Steve cried. "They'd say anything to keep me silent." "Did you find out more about Langdale?" Aiden said. "Yes," revealing that Langdale was a wealthy businessman.